Global warming is the long-term warming of the planet's overall temperature. As the human population increased, so has the volume of fossil fuels burnt. This is what one of our interviewers had to say about global warming impacting the Earth.
Seeing a lot of impacts worldwide, seeing a lot of it manifest in the ocean. So, corals bleaching off because temperatures are too hot for them and they're not able to complete their natural processes correctly anymore.
This is an example on how we can prevent climate change.
The idea that we could have all battery-powered electric vehicles by 2035, and that auto companies are committing themselves not to produce the internal combustion engine.
To stop global warming, we will need to limit carbon emissions.
There is no one-size-fits-all approach to stopping or slowing global warming, and each individual business, municipal, state, tribal, and federal entity must weigh their opinions in light of their own unique set of circumstances. Experts say it's likely many strategies working together will be needed. Generally speaking here, there are some examples of mitigation strategies we can use to slow or stop the human-caused global warming. Where possible, we can switch to renewable sources of energy, such as solar and wind energy, to power our homes and buildings, thus emitting far less heat-trapping gases into our atmosphere. Where feasible, we can drive electric vehicles instead of those that burn fossil fuels. Or we can use mass transit instead of driving our own cars where affordable. We can conserve energy by better insulating our homes and buildings. This interviewer provided us with another solution to global warming.
The solution that we always talk about with trying to mitigate climate change is increasing the availability of public transport for people so that when we invest money into something, we're actually seeing more of a give back for the people that would actually use the product. So by having less cars on the streets, less carbon emissions, less pollutions, less gas consumption, having a more higher investment in public transportation, we can see a decrease in climate change. Other things can be changing our diets. So it actually costs a lot of water to eat meat. People don't know that, but cows are actually one of the huge commodities that cause climate change. So cows not only release methane, but they take a lot of water to keep. The meat itself takes a lot of water to actually produce. And then a big thing is overconsumption. So when people don't finish all the food that they buy or the food that they, order at a restaurant, the food actually gets discarded. And in order for that food to rot, it actually requires oxygen. That's the chemical process of degrading meat or degrading food of any kind, is that oxygen has to come in for it then to release other gases. And that's actually a huge cause of a lot of natural gases and stuff that we see as an air pollutant, is the degradation of waste.
Why a half degree more is such a big deal. A warmer world, even by 0.5 degree Celsius, has more evaporation, leading to more water in the atmosphere. Such changing conditions put our agriculture, health, water supply, and more at risk. Picture a North Carolina cotton farm that's been around since 1960 with the global average temperatures rising by roughly 0.5 degree since its first crop. The increased evaporation and additional moisture to the atmosphere has led to 30% more intense rain during heavy downpours in the part of the U.S. Then a hurricane like 2018's Florence, already strengthened by warmer oceans and higher seas, dumps this excess rainfall on the farm. The crops get more flooded and damaged than they did half a century ago. It's how you go from 0.5 degree of warming to economic hardship. This interviewer states why global warming is harmful to our planet.
When we talk about global warming, we actually refer to it as climate change because historically, talking about it only as global warming tends to kind of mitigate or minimize the issues as to what's really happening. Climate change in particular is the fact that the Earth itself is experiencing climates outside of its normal range, outside of its usual patterns that it would be changing at. And it can have a really, really drastic effect. We're already feeling some of the drastic effects. We've been seeing the main thing, obviously, with climate is we talk about disasters. We talk about climate disasters such as hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires, frosts, things like that. We're already seeing freezes outside of, usual regions during the usual times. We're seeing things like down here in Florida, hurricanes happening before and after usual hurricane seasons historically. So that on the actual Earth itself, not including the people, not including the biology, just the climate itself, the non-living aspect of it. We're already seeing that by the fluctuations of temperature, by the fluctuations of climate,
That is how we can decrease the carbon emissions in society today. What are some things that you can do to limit your carbon footprint?